You know, my time in social work has been very interesting. There have definitely been a lot of rewarding moments. I think I would say, from my experience, that if you want to have longevity working in this career, depending on the population that you work with, if you want to have longevity, you can't look at success necessarily the same way others may get to look at success, in their chosen career field. I've worked with and around, people, children, families that have experienced trauma from abuse and neglect that often are their lives are heavily influenced by, you know, their circumstances, whether it be poverty or just poverty around them, working with families that are trying to navigate having a family member or two or three or four that are living with mental health needs, some severe mental health needs, having children who, you know, exhibit or develop behaviors either from trauma and abuse that they have experienced or just behaviors related to their own mental health needs too, and those parents not really having the experience to navigate or deal with it, or in the majority of cases, in addition to not necessarily having the experience, not having support around them. So that's what I've been around. I've done protective services, I've worked in residentials, I've done a lot, I've been in people's homes, I've been around families during some of the most challenging times and seasons of their lives as well. And um, you don't come out, if you're not intentional, you don't come out untouched, unscathed from those experiences as well. You feel those too, especially after such a long time. And you can really and easily get burned out. And what contributes, I think, a lot to that is if social workers have the traditional idea of what it means to be successful on the job. And what I mean by that is that you really have to have more of a positive outlook on life in order to be able to experience and define or redefine what success is working as a social worker. My experience, pessimistic people, half glass half empty people, they don't normally do well personally themselves or stay long, in the field because of everything that you see. And that's no jab at them. You have to know what kind of person you are. But in this world that we live in, these experiences that children and families and individuals are having, it's cyclical. And so, for every one family, one child that you help, there are 100 more in line um, in need or experiencing the same thing right behind them. And if you are someone that says you want to do things in life that will change the world, um, then you may have a hard time being a social worker. Now, what I have, you know, just over the years, you kind of develop these things to help yourself, as you continue moving forward. And so, absolutely seeing the silver lining more in the work that we do, being appreciative of that one, right? And that more so being the goal rather than saying, I want to change the entire world, that can help with longevity. It may not, no, it doesn't do anything to um, help you meet your goal if you do want to do things to change the world. And I'm not telling anybody not to have those thoughts. I think that we all should, dream and want to have the greatest impact in life as we can. And I think that we should absolutely reach and aim for the stars um, every time. So this is not talking about lowering your standard. This is talking about appreciating the process and taking a moment to um, appreciate and recognize the impact that you can make in a way that is protective of yourself and allows you to not become too cynical or depressed about what you see around you, and looking at it and appreciating it in a way that can be fuel to continue going on. Okay? And so you have to look at it that way. When I say that those issues are cyclical, they're always coming, and you can feel like and really see that, man, I'm not making a difference if you're looking at it in the more traditional way, because with every issue here, there's another one coming in the door. You know, and it can be a little bit difficult to really see the impact. And when you get to in those moments, which I believe everyone will, if you're working it long enough, you're gonna have several times where you evaluate what you're experiencing and the impact that it may be having on you or your family or your own mental health. And you're going to ask yourself, is this worth it? And I always encourage people to be honest. Be honest with yourself. But I do believe that if you want to um, have some level of longevity, and you want to continue your impact, approaching it that way as you take care of yourself and approaching it in a way to be more optimistic and have more of a positive outlook on the process rather than focusing on some ever moving goal that can prepare you that even when you inevitably see, wow, I'm taking impact, here and there. It's called secondary trauma. Some people experience that too, especially when you're around it so long. When you see that you're experiencing that, you can still have a place to pivot, a place to launch forward from, or to refuel, to keep going, to take care of yourself in that moment. It's almost like changing your tire in a sense. If social work is like just a long journey, a long car ride, and you're just driving, and you're driving along the way, and it's like a long car ride where, I'm just thinking of this analogy on the fly, but I feel like it makes sense. It's like a long car ride, and you're like an Uber or a taxi driver for those of you that are old enough or live in New York, I guess. They still drive taxis in New York? I don't know. Never been. But anyhow, you're a driver, and you're just traveling, and along the way as you're traveling, you're picking people up and dropping them off. You're picking people up and dropping them off. And as the miles go by, you have to do maintenance on your car. You have to change the tires eventually. But you continue driving. And then as the years go on, the model, maybe you may be able to get an updated model. But because you're in social work, your updated model is probably like used new, not necessarily new, or it might be around 85,000 miles and about 6 years old. Y'all get what I'm saying? But you just continuously drive and drive and drive and drive. Um, yeah. And so, I recognize that in myself, I recognize it in others. I have those conversations with coworkers. I have that conversation with some families. I want to help families also to understand that a lot of social work is partnership. It is not somebody coming into your life and having all the answers and telling you what to do. It's partnership. It's you being the expert person on what your experience is, and that social worker being this resourceful, knowledgeable person that comes along the way to help you to put the pieces together to connect you with the resources that you need, the supports that you need. Someone coming along to, walk with you for a season until you are empowered and confident enough to, continue walking that road without them. And it may not be forever. You may have to come back again and call upon them again and walk with you some more. But it's not, as rarely is it there to be a problem solver or to solve everything that's in your life. There are no magic wands in social work. You go to the hospital, they can have an answer, because they can say, oh, well, we can do surgery, and then there's some finality, to the situation. What social work is not, is more like, I don't know, I can't do the surgery, but I can get you connected with, the company that makes the surgical tools and the schools that teach about how to stitch a wound and the emotional support for when it comes time for you to have to stitch up that wound, and maybe it's successful, maybe it's a debacle, and if it's a debacle, then we go back to the drawing board and we again help you to navigate this in a way that's just right for you. Yeah. So it absolutely has been a rewarding experience for me, but I'm at the point where I'm thinking about longevity, thinking about the future, having a growing family and considering the impact that it has had on me. Now I have to be a little bit more um, mindful, because now that impact, it can influence my wife and my children and my household instead of just only me. Most social workers are always thinking about finances and money. Folks around us, and most people are, they're always thinking about finances and money. And I guarantee you, maybe I would say a good majority of people that have worked in social work any amount of time have come to a place where they had felt like they had to make a decision between a job that they a work that they love and feel is impactful, making a decision between staying and doing that or taking something else that makes more money that they may feel is less impactful. We've all experienced that. And you'd be surprised that many times people choose to stay and do what they feel is impactful, regardless of the money. Um, so, you know, hug a social worker, thank a social worker, um, celebrate a social worker. That's it. Peace out.